And the Metal Lab is live. It's Monday. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving. I'm still enjoying my holiday. Now, tonight we have myself and we have Mike.
Hey.
And we may or may not have Jay, depending on the state of Canadian internet service. And hopefully Jordan will be joining us soon. But in the meantime, we have us. And as always, this show is brought to you in part by hcrealms.com. Check out the shop button on the hcrealms.com page in the top panel, or go directly to realmsgaming.com. Do a little shopping through the Realms Gaming shop, where you can get some really cool stuff, including dice cups, and maps, as well as hats or
you just working the chicken through?
I'm still working the chicken and the beef and all the meat groups are working through me.
Nice.
When you're done shopping, go into the coupon code section and type in the coupon code MARRIED to get yourself 10% off of your purchase. And that also goes to support our show directly. As well, if you want to support us in a different way, check us out at patreon.com/marriedwithclicks. And later on tonight, we'll talk about the new milestone that we added last week, courtesy of Patrick Giboko's idea. And hopefully that entices some more patrons to join in as we get along with that. But that said, go Jays. Took it to a game 5, and let's talk Clix now. So, Mike, have you had a chance to? I know you and me played at Wizards Cash this week. Did you get a chance to play games outside of that, or can we talk about that right off the bat?
No, I didn't really have a chance outside of that. I did a little bit of practice with my dad over the weekend, who immediately said this game is too complicated. I can't do this. And so it really consisted of me. And to begin with, that practice looked like, okay, there are no colors on the dials. There's move and attack for everybody. That's fine. And I matched the characters with one character each, and it was still just not his jam. But anyway, no, it was just the Wizards Cash games that we were playing last week. For me, yeah.
All right, and Jay's internet seems to be allowing him in right now. So we'll say, hey, Jay, how's it going? Welcome back in.
Yay, Canadian internet.
It is the best, is it not? How are you enjoying your Canadian Thanksgiving? And have you had a chance to play much since the last time we've seen you?
Played some casual games.
Mm-hmm.
Played some JSA in anticipation of the new figures that are Wonders of the World, but the same exact characters because I'm excited. Had some fun. Nothing really meta or competitive, though.
Okay. Excellent. So, me and Mike had a chance to play at Wizards Cash this Wednesday, so we've had a chance to taste that new limited format in a somewhat compact way, see kind of what works and what's give us a little taste, a sampling, if you will, a little more though, of what the environment looks like. So, Mike, what are your takeaways from it? You can go into in-depth detail about the games, etc. But what were your big takeaways from this?
Well, my takeaway lately has been don't make a team 5 minutes before you leave the house kind of deal. At least play with it a little bit. It's a very Nick Fury-rich environment. A lot of ignoring of elevations for targeting, and congrats to Emily for her big win that night. She played really, really well and ended up taking it home.
What did she play?
She played Nick Fury with Rocket, the reroll Rocket, along with Banshee. Yeah.
So no, not going for the awesome soldier theme, going for no theme.
No theme. Still very, very strong.
Wait, can you use ATAs in Limited?
Yes.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. I kind of went about Emily's team because it is an idea I stumbled across that was I came across about the same time I came up with my soldier build. Emily did beat me in the final with my Stark Industries team that consisted of a Hawkeye, 2 of the Ultron 18.2s, and a Silver Centurion.
That being the Hawkeye from the Fast Forces.
That is the Hawkeye from the Fast Forces. Yeah, 75 points with the Stark Industries keyword, which is the important part of that. Because what that team lacked a lot of was probability control, which was made up for by having the theme team. Full complement with the three available actions, even though those 4 characters, because that's the rules. That said, My first round was against Glenn, who that guy has had the like. I've seen some people with bad dice against me, and I can honestly turn around and blame the dice. And Glenn is the one player where I look at it and go, like every time he plays against me, he actually can only blame the dice. He made a lot of really good movements, made good actions. Everything he did was really good until it came to attacking me, and then his dice were just like, nah, I'm not gonna let this go. And unfortunately, he missed. If he didn't, once again, Glenn is cursed to either miss by 1 against me or to critically miss against me.
What did he play?
I feel really bad when stuff like that happens. My second round was against Mike, who ours was a positional game. It came down to a lot of...
I played really poorly against you.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say you played poorly. It's just experience of positioning kind of worked in my favor in this one. Because I'll take a square and roll with it, and I work wonders with it.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a couple missteps that we talked about after the game, but that Silver Centurion, if you can get that torpedo on the right targets, placed in the right places, and avoid some shape changes, it can do a number in this format. So it's still pretty strong. And I didn't realize how deep the dial on that thing was. Oh my God, that dial was fat.
9 clicks, isn't it?
It was. I think it takes 10
9
damage to kill that guy. It is insane. Honestly, I've had the figure since the outset of Invincible Iron Man. This is the first chance I've actually had to play this figure, and I was flabbergasted with how awesome it was in performance. But then again, I came across in the last round Emily, who was playing that awesome Nick Fury team, which is really, really good, and it was a build I considered. And then we took another game off to the side. And I'm not going to talk about the outcome of that, but it helped help fly some decisions for me, some decision making going into the winter map that we have coming in on the 1st of November, which will be in the limited format. But anyway, it was a ton of fun. I like this format because it is varied in as much as it is limited. Where you don't get resources, you still get. It feels like just about everything else. You know, you don't get any possession, that's fine. You don't get relics, okay. Special objects are a thing. You're allowed to use special objects in this format, at least according to Patrick last week, and we haven't been refuted yet. So, but that's okay because special objects consist of so far the 5 Hulkbuster parts and the Pym particles right now, if I remember.
And the treadmill.
And the treadmill. Sorry, I keep forgetting about the treadmill. So there's a cosmic treadmill and those other 6 items. So think about that when you're building as well. If you have those extra, you see those 2 extra points hanging around. Throw in the Pym particles, making somebody hard to shoot at a distance, or increasing where they can see in line of fire can go a long way. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. And then I played a fun game this past weekend at the Comic Warehouse. We had a big old battle royale on that huge map that we had to draw for at Provincials that Spencer brought along. And Spencer brought along a gigantic stack of Ultrons. If you want to get a good idea, check out the Married with Clix /Facebook or Facebook/Married with Clix. To get a good look at what we were looking at. We actually had rules where there was waves of Ultrons that would show up in your face after a while. So by about the 3rd turn, you're in the position you're in for the rest of the game, making slight movements here and there to get charges off or side steps out of the way or running shots to pulse waves or whatever. So that said, is it preview time, guys?
For sure.
It's preview time.
Oh, I'm so happy about these previews.
So we get 2 previews since the last episode. Because last episode we had the last preview I believe was Hades, who I once again welcome our Lord King Joffrey, and we're going to start with the Prime of Superman Blue. Oh wow, that was silly of me. I'm looking at Mike again. Why did I do that?
Nobody would want to do that.
Double clicks. There we go. Here we go. All right, Superman Red up on the screen here. All right, so we have Superman Red, who is the Prime version of the rare Superman Blue. He's got the wait, that's not Superman trait, but it's slightly different in his case. If Superman Red is on your sideline when your opponent's force is revealed, and your force includes a character named Superman or Superboy of an equal or higher point value, you may replace that character with Superman Red. If you do, Superman Red begins the game with an action token. If you have Superman Superman Blue on your sideline, you may instead replace the chosen character of points equal to or higher than the combined points with both of them. So, and I believe this one, this one comes in at 100 on its low point value. The Superman Blue comes in at 50, so you can change it 150 if you use both the low. You can get up to 225 if you use high and low on the other one, or if you use them combined, you can switch up, I believe, to a 300-point character. And then what you see is what you get on the dial for color-wise. He's got another trait. Superman Red can use Force Blast. Superman Red and adjacent friendly characters ignore damage dealt by Energy Explosion. And then now his power combination is a little weird. If you look at the offset here, he's got Charge with Pulse Wave, Enhancement, and Impervious. He's Indomitable. He flies. He's got the Superman Ally Team ability, 6 range. No big surprises as far as special powers and the way it works. He's got some probability control intermittent in there. Jay, you sounded excited, so I'll let you start with Superman Red.
I was more excited about Brittle than this guy, but okay.
That's fine. You said both, so.
The dial itself isn't the best figure ever made, but the important part is that trait. Replacing your Superman with Superman Blue and Red, who with their traits just shut down a lot of awesome range power. So, yeah, the dial-wise it's decent, although funky power combos are funky. Although charging in and then getting off a Pulse Wave on the guy you just pummeled is cool.
Yeah.
Although the enhancement on top of that isn't necessarily going to work so well unless you're working with some sharpshooters or some guys that are shooting in and out of adjacency like crazy. But being able to get Superman Blue and Red to ignore the Energy Explosion and Pulse Wave is pretty cool.
All right. Mike?
Yeah, I agree with Jay on this. It's not all that exciting independently. Like, they're not. I don't think they're very good. Or we'll just speak about this one. Superman Red is particularly good on its own, but when you combine it with Superman Blue, it's really cool. Anything that ignores powers is always interesting, just based on what you'll see in matchups. Yeah, I mean, it's just that the thing I got hung up on when I first looked at this is that charged pulse wave thing. That really kind of just like, what are you doing? Okay. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Okay. Yeah, my takeaway on this, I gotta point out a couple things that I noticed about this. One is that the charge and pulse wave don't necessarily work together, but the way I'm looking at it, I always see this Superman Red and Superman Blue as played together regardless. Right. So that's generally the mindset I'm in. And these two work really well together as a 1-2 punch because the Superman Blue comes with charge or with a running shot and empower, whereas this one comes with charge and enhancement, right? So you lead in with you either lead in with the Superman Red or the Superman Blue, depending on the positioning that you can count on, and it'll be a major positioning factor for the two characters. And of course, the other one will give the other one the bonus, right? So if you lead in with the Superman Blue with a minor attack, and then you come in with the big charge with the Superman Red. Now with the two of them together, he's now in close combat, and if your opponent gets other guys, you can pulse wave freely with the Superman Red because your Superman Blue is there, and if the rest of your team happens to be there too, you're protected from your own pulse wave. As well, if the punch coming in from Superman Red, you decide that you've got an isolated character and a wall not too far away, you come in, you charge, use that Force Blast you have, knock back the opponent away, and then follow up with a short-range pulse wave after that. So this is a character that's going to be based a lot on your opponent's positioning and your own positioning, and as well a little bit of build. So straight out of Sealed, you're probably less likely to see this character unless you've got a lot of range and you can fit that 100-point character with a backup charge as well to protect a rangy team with some energy explosion defense. If you happen to pull the two of them and you're Sealed, well, then you're pretty golden from there, if you ask me. That's just my 2 cents about it. I mean, this character in Sealed is not fantastic, and on his own doesn't seem that great, but he is the 1-2 punch with the Superman Blue. And I consider the two of them like a 150-point character.
Doesn't feel very primey.
Yes. So that said, we have another prime to look at, and he is Brutal. So Brutal comes with the Apocalypse, Brute, Monster, and Warrior keywords. What you see is what you get on the dial. Again, a lot of the dials in the set seem to be doing this. There's not a great deal of special powers going on. A lot of basic powers. He's got the Wake That's Not Superman trait. So if he's on your sideline, if it's a Superman or Superboy on your team, you can replace an equal or greater value Superman. So 175 we've seen in the super rare. We haven't seen a base 100 Superman except for the Superman Red, but that's not a Superman that will be replaced because it's not name contained. They are named Superman. So it would require a Superman of 100 points. So you're looking at the 175 point, possibly replacing a super rare in this case. His next trait, Conquering Hero of Apocalypse. When Brutal is closer to an opponent's starting area than his own, so past the halfway point of the map, he can use Willpower, which he doesn't come with as far as the dial is concerned. When a friendly character with the Apocalypse keyword is closer to an opponent's starting area than his own, modify value by +1. So if you have another, like a Dark Side, or I think there's a, what's his name? Calabac can actually teleport to an opponent to make an attack. He's got like a double power action that does that. So Brutal will now just add the +1 to his attack value on top of that if he's there. And then he's traded with Super Strength. Opposing characters can't target him without Wit unless it is granted by the Superman enemy team ability. Very, very nice choice there. So 175 point looks like it's going to be a running shot, Psychic Blast, Hypersonicer with some range on him. He's got 8 range on the dial. He is a flyer. Jay, you're giddy. Go.
It's nice to see more traits that discourage sitting on your side of the map.
Yep.
It would be nice to see it on not primes because it was this guy and Peggy. So if it was like other characters that weren't prime, it'd be pretty cool. It's also interesting to see that he has a Bruiser dial, but starts it off on his full points at Running Shot, Psychic Blast instead of the just traditional Hypersonic Super Strength, which is good and interesting to see. Considering how rare the Superman enemy team ability is, he essentially has Quintessence traded, assuming you're going the other side of the map, which you pretty much should be, because with your long range or close combat attacks, you're very much going to be capable of doing that. Defensively wise, he has a long and good powers, and top dial. Invincible is pretty much the best defense power you could ask for, and then topped with Shape Change, which between that and Super Senses is probably definitely better. So that's really awesome stuff defensively. And then I did the math, and like if you average out his attack values and include the +1 for the trait, he has like an average attack value of like 11.75, which is just bonkers. Sealed wise, unless there's a lot of Superman enemy team ability, which like could happen, but like who knows? Like this guy's gonna be monstrous. Huh?
With Superman in the title, it's likely, but yeah, keep going.
Yeah, Monster and Sealed competitively depends what other Supermans we get, because I don't really see the 175.1 just being played there, so it depends.
All right,
and that's pretty much it.
All right, Mike, what do you take away?
I mean, I love having invincible top dial. The stats are really good overall, especially with that +1 trait, like what Jay was illustrating. I'm trying to look at it from this is actually my first time seeing this one. I hadn't seen this one before right now. But I'm trying to see it from the way turns play out, as long as he's not getting damaged, essentially, because he can keep people at range fairly well. So this is the 14 swing. Second turn, you still don't have willpower because you're still on one side of the map. You get to the other side of the map then, but you take that push, so then you have the hypersonic to do cleanup afterwards. It looks really interesting in that way. Traded Super Strength is always awesome. And the resistance to Outwit is also very awesome. And it's encouraging to see this because it means we're going to see a lot more. I mean, it was expected beforehand, but a lot more Apocalypse keyword characters probably in this set as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
All right.
I don't see what you're. I mean, I don't see what you mean about the side of the map because, like, how many? There's 12 squares on each side of the map.
Yep.
You start off in square 2 in your starting area.
I'm just thinking of it from a
Presumably,
defensive point of view. So let's say someone starts out and they're coming at you. So you do your running shot immediately, and then you do like you basically go 6 squares out, and then you're going another 6 squares for your second attack, taking that push damage because then you'll be on the other side. It'll push you to your hypersonic.
Yeah.
With the 12, right? And then you do some cleanup with your ultra heavy object, which you picked up in the beginning anyway.
Yeah. I don't really see myself pushing him that often because just that defense that he has there is just kind of like the best possible defensive stuff you can get on a dial. Just pure powers wise.
I don't know. I'm trying to see it from the dev team point of view. You know, like what did they intend for him to possibly do? I'm just trying to think from that angle.
Yeah.
Well,
very cool.
The way I see this character, you lead in shooting, and then go in punching. It's
what I said.
It's the way the dial just looks that way. Now, you can actually lead in the shooting if you have a decent TK, throw them out 8, get past the halfway point and start shooting, and now you have some willpower, which is a good backup in case a lot of people try to use incapacitate as a downfall to characters like this. Now, that said, the top dial invincible is great to go with the shape change where you have a chance to not get attacked in the first place, and if they can't hit that 18 defense, well, you know, even penetrating damage is going to be shrugged off. So this guy is a sealed beast. If you get him, he's almost an auto play as far as sealed is concerned. It's a shame that he has exploit weakness with hypersonic, 2 powers that just unfortunately don't go well together. But of course, that late dial where he's got plasticity and close combat expert, where people will try to run away from a character with close combat expert, he gives them a hug and says, "Stick around, see what happens."
Stay a while and listen.
Stay a while and listen. As well, I love Battle Fury. And you know, even though on the short, if you play him at the 100-point value, you're not going to get your range off the top 3 squares. Battle Fury is a good power to get around those shape changes that exist in great, plentiful amounts of late. And you know, Quake is always a good situational power in the right places. I love a good knockback that makes a player just takes a player off their game.
Quake Battle Fury is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, having charge with the Battle Fury gets over the fact that you don't get the range because now you can actually move and use your attack value and possibly hit somebody for a lot of damage with Trade's super strength. And neither of his dials, or both of his dials rather, is the word I meant to use. Both of his dials are capable of using an ultra heavy. So, like Mike said, he's coming in hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was that like little while there they were making a lot of 99-point characters with super strength, but then they started to actually make them 100, like with the SR Hulk and stuff.
Absolutely.
But as far as his hypersonic exploit goes, I see him more hypersonic, shooting one guy, basing another, and then exploiting his weaknesses.
Well, outside of sealed, you could even pair him with Black Hand, and on the second click, you get the Steel Energy as well, and then pump yourself back up to the first click and keep going.
Yep. Yeah. So he's a capable character. He does take up your prime slot. So there is that to consider.
It's a bit unfortunate that the way the prime rule works, you can't have 2 on your sideline either.
Yeah, because having the option of Superman Red and Brutal would be amazing.
Yeah. Like, I sat down and tried to write out how you would word it to work within the rules and not break any rules, like not whatever. It was way too long. I figure they probably just decided not to do it instead of just trying to write a 3-page long card.
Yeah. One of the things I did note, though, is that I don't think the Brutal is going to get in the way as much with the Superman Red as a lot of the Superman Red intended builds will be. Because a lot of Superman Red intended builds will be intended, again, design intent is you ignore that 175-point dial for the trait and start using him with blue more often, and then it's 150 points is where your goal is. Then Brutal sits at 175 points as your replacement for a higher point Superman. Again, it's probably not the way a lot of people are looking at it initially. I mean, Brutal and Superman Red are both capable of taking over a spot of the 175-point one, but I think Brutal at 175 point is more likely to replace a 175-point Superman than the Red is, whereas the Red at 100 along with Blue at 50 is more likely to replace somebody in the 150 slot. It's just the way I've been looking at it. But you know, that I speak and think in nonsense oftentimes. So we've said Superman Red, we've said Superman Brutal. So next up, let's do homework before we do the next slide that I wanted to talk about. And this week's homework was Ghost Rider. I will pull him up right now on HC Realms. This is the new monthly OP kit Ghost Rider. And thank you again, HC Realms, for your wonderful unit section, because it gets me around my life and makes my job 100 times easier.
I wonder why you were looking up Abracadabra.
What's that? I was looking up Abracadabra from a conversation I was having with Mike off the air. So, we have Ghost Rider here. Ghost Rider is pretty decent stats, like mediocre stats rather. At 120 points, comes with Marvel Knights, Midnight Suns, and mystical keywords. What you see is what you get, except for the first 3 clicks with a special movement power, which is the Hellfire Cycle. Ghost Rider can use hypersonic and improved movement, ignores elevated terrain, ignores hindering terrain. And he's got a trait, the Penance Stare. Whenever a friendly character of 25 points or more is KO'd by an opponent, place a Penance token on his card. When Ghost Rider makes a close combat attack, you may replace his damage value with the number of Penance tokens on this card and lock it. If you do, damage dealt is penetrating. So, Mike, do you want to take the lead? Show us your Ghost Rider?
Sure. Yeah. Okay, I sent it to you earlier. Do you want to put it up on the, or do you want me to put it up?
You take it away, bud.
All right.
Did we all do limited?
Sure. No.
I did not.
I did. Okay.
Did not know that was the rule.
That's not the rule.
Okay. In this case, I went for, here, I'll zoom it in a little bit so it's easier to see. We've got Ghost Rider here with Black Hand, possessing him the 3 Black Lantern Reanimates. We've got the Black Power Battery and an assortment of constructs. Well, obviously the ring and an assortment of constructs for various reasons. Going back to Ghost Rider, I mean, I looked at his trait and I'm like, well, you know, we need to be able to have a whole series of guys that are sacrificial and really don't matter all that much and possibly can spawn or recreate themselves. So it made me think about the Black Lantern Battery and the Black Lantern Reanimates overall. Plus, Black Hand itself adds a lot to Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider's stats are not that good to begin with, just the base stats anyway. I mean, the defense is average and is fine, but a 10 attack off the top just bugs me. So immediately with possession, I've got an 11 attack. Or 4 damage, just depending on which way you want to go. Aside from that, the Black Lantern Reanimates, I don't know if not everybody is familiar with them, but they're pretty awesome. When a friendly character with Black Lantern core keyword KOs an opposing character with an attack, you may place another Black Lantern Reanimate on click 2 in this square and add it to your force. Now, on click 2, they all have Steel Energy. Steel Energy feeds directly into the Black Lantern Battery. And so, you know, for the next 3 clicks, as long as they're not just being one-shot, which in many cases they will be, they're going to end up healing themselves up and staying alive and just being a general nuisance. On top of that, you're continually populating the Penance Stare. So it's whenever a friendly character with 25 points or more is KO'd by an opponent, place a Penance token on this card. When Ghost Rider makes a close combat attack, you may replace his damage value with the number of Penance tokens on this card. Lock it, blah, blah, blah. Damage dealt is penetrating, of course, and he will continually be able to use that with his special hypersonic speed and improved movement and all that stuff and run amok. Various things to lock down, like the various constructs are here to lock down and make better. So, you know, Catapult, for obvious reasons, needs a little TK in my life. Decoy on Ghost Rider was what I was thinking, just to give him a little extra shape change, just a little extra defense. So he's got like 2 D6 rolls possibly per turn to help mitigate a little bit more damage. Little bulldozer for one of the reanimates, possibly. I mean, it's all situational. So you can put one on one and switch it out whenever you want. Nurse is great just in case, because this team does rely on getting hurt. And if you get too hurt, you die. So don't want that. And I love stealth busting, so Spotlight down at the bottom. Even 300 points. Will function fairly well. Little bit of a build-up to it. But generally speaking, I'm going to throw those little reanimates out there and let them die just to start that penance stare thing up as much as I possibly can. Yep, that's my team.
All right. Jay.
Yes. I am limited this week because you guys did limited last week.
Well, it's your turn. Let me just take this down here.
Okay.
There we go.
Sorry, it's focused on Jay right now. The people see Jay.
So I went with the awesome swarm of awesomeness. Ghost Rider, Shatterstar, Grasshopper, Despotels, Atomica, Blind Owl, and Pog for CSA tokens. Grasshopper's there because I believe that the way his trait is worded, he keeps on coming back, so he'll be my source of infinite awesomeness penance stare tokens. Ghost Rider is there because doing stuff. Shatterstar teleports Despotels or Atomica across the map, ties my opponent up, fun stuff like that. Atomica, if she can get a Perplex from Blind Owls, that 20 with Plasticity and Prob, which will just make people not happy. So they'll be tied down for Ghost Rider to come in swinging, carrying the other tiny character. And then Grasshopper does his double jump and just goes wherever he feels like and annoys people, makes them very, very sad. And then Blind Owl is another excellent source of CSA token receiving once everybody's out of the starting area and can't be perplexed. Unless, of course, Shatterstar wants to take her for a ride, which is fun. So, plenty of options for Shatterstar to just make people miserable and hopefully let Ghost Rider go to town while Grasshopper gives them infinite points, while I hope that somehow balances out and gives Ghost Rider awesomeness.
All right. Awesome.
Sweet.
Oh. Sweet. All right. I guess it's my turn, eh?
Yeah.
All right. So, I like Midnight Suns, but there's not many in Modern right now. So I went with two. I went with probably the smallest possible team and stepped out of my boundaries, as I often do with these. And I swear one day I'll put my money where my mouth is and play one of these teams. I promise, one day. And my team was Ghost Rider, the Con Doctor Strange, and the Power Plant.
Oh, Lord.
Of course, the idea behind this is Ghost Rider is just a character. He's probably not going to get very much out of the penance stare, let's be brutally honest. I didn't build around it myself. I just kind of went with Midnight Suns and rolled with it. Two reasons. One, I forgot to build my team while I was out with my parents this weekend. And two, because I said Midnight Suns and let's see what's modern. Now, there's a couple options I could have gone with. The 75-point Doctor Strange from the other monthly OP kit. And possibly some other smaller characters, but I don't think I would have got what I wanted out of that. Whereas this one is a little bit more trolly with the ability to possibly send people back to the starting area or use Doctor Strange's offensive abilities from the die roll. So, you get about the same that you get out of Felix Faust on the colored side, but when it comes to the symbol sides of the die, you get a little bit more diversity and functionality and punctuality and some defensiveness out of it. And of course I got a power plant on there, so I'll throw an impact beam on a hypersonicer any day. And just watch the face. I love the faces when they take penetrating knockback and extra knockback damage even. So impact beam is my favorite ring ever. Give an electro blast to Doctor Strange because that's just how awesome he is. And of course some probability control out of the Doctor Strange. Hey, you can't argue with that, right?
Sure.
Well, you can because it's pretty much terrible. I apologize for that. You can argue with it all day for all I care. But from there, This weekend, guys, is Rocktober, as it's called, the ROC World Cup, or the Rock World Cup.
Yep.
There is going to be a big event culminated from all these ROC super qualifiers, winner maps, etc., with some big prizing behind it. And out of the three of us here, Mike is the only one who's able to make it out this year. Maybe next year for myself. We'll see. I don't even think I actually accumulated enough points, and I didn't go chasing the points, to be brutally honest. But I had a ton of fun at the Rock tournaments, and I look forward to finding out the results as we go. And I will be poking and prodding at people until I get all the results live and get to share them first. Because that's what the internet is about, being first, right? All right. So, and Mike, do it. Make it rain. Make it rain. Make it rain with the points. You're not making it rain, Mike. Make it rain.
That was the lamest rain ever. I don't know. I failed at raining.
How many?
All right. And this is why I hire white guys.
This is 87 right here. But I have 130. Nope.
Gee.
Before we start the next topic, I just want to go in and say, guys, feel free to throw questions or comments or topics that you want us to talk about in the comments section while we're going. I will be checking them towards the end of the show, and we'll try to answer as many as we can as long as they're on topic or on point. Or, we'll laugh at you if I happen to read one that wasn't quite there. So, now, this Thursday, I do have a fair number of players who are going to be at the Rock World Cup. We're going to talk about their expectations, predictions, possibly smack talk each other, because we have an awful lot of people coming on the show on Thursday, and that's acceptable as well. But they're going to give their predictions, and let's give our scrub predictions here. Mike, you are going to be on the Thursday show since you're going to be going, so you can limit what you want to say. Or you can mention what you're talking about right now or what you're thinking about right now.
Well, there might be a guy, holding a set of eyes that were plucked out of the skull of the Watcher.
Yeah, you think someone might play Nick Fury? I heard he's good.
There might be that. It might be something that rhymes with tight cock. No, Nighthawk. Maybe there. I'm just saying.
Double Kyle.
There might be a Rainer. I'm not sure. There could be. But aside from that, I think we'll probably see some of the old suspects as well, like Greedfather and a couple other things. I mean, so the Kenny's Greedfather team doesn't work quite in the same way, but we've played against ones that were not nerfed by the cuts, like the Indigo Greedfather team. Played locally up here. I don't know. There's just such a huge meta. I mean, I think we'll see the Quinjet. Well, I think Ethan Brock may play the Quinjet. Just saying.
He did that on a dare, if I heard correctly.
Well, it worked. Yeah. I don't know. What else? What do you guys think? Enlighten me. I want to hear your thoughts on what you think may be there.
Jay, he wants to hear the voices of those who won't be there. Feel free to troll if you like.
I think what's going to win is going to end up being a surprise, just because, there's a lot out there, but it's sort of tending to be a few really strong things. I think that whoever's going to end up winning it is going to have something to work against the awesomeness that is... I mean, it's not much of a small meta, per se, but it's more limited than you would think, so I think that it's not going to be something stale that wins. What's going to show, you're going to see a lot of Nighthawks, a lot of Kyle Rayners, I think. Nick Fury. I'm thinking that might be more Nick Furies on ID cards, just because Nick Fury is obviously ridiculous, so people are going to bless whoever that was.
Bless you, Amber.
I can see him being on the ID cards more just because people might want to counter him, and then if you can get your effectiveness out of him with an Ultron drone ID card combo, you might be better off than just playing him on his own. I don't know. I'm not one of those smart people that's going to be there, so my word means little.
All right. Well, if I was to predict anything, yes, Nick Fury will probably show up. It may or may not win. It depends on the pilot of the man. But there are still some figures that are running rampant that people are, at times discounting. I know Easton has actually gotten very successful. Some more success out of his Coriander, if you will. At 100 points, she seems to still be rocking the house. She's got a lot of effectiveness behind her, and in an environment where you're allowed to make her even better, 100 points is a good starting base to start before adding an entity. I saw one build recently at an ROC, just kind of thinking off the top of my head, that was Cosmic themed, similar to what Tom was approaching when he came to our winner map using the Black Swan with some entities and the what's the guy? Power Ring.
Yep.
But the approach they took was using Nick Fury with Possessed and a Black Swan. Now, of course, that keeps a Cosmic theme team and has a Nick Fury on it. I can't remember what the resource was. Might have been Indigo Battery. I'm not sure, to be honest. That said, the winner is probably going to be the Innovator or just a good player. It could be just the best player of Nick Fury. We might even... There's a good chance we could just see Nick Fury and Kyle everywhere, and we could be back to the Ghost Rider Brother Voodoo days. I'm not sure. It's a thought that's crossed my mind and something I've looked at and said it's possible, but at the same time, there's been tournaments that have been won by teams that didn't include a Nick Fury necessarily, and did manage to reign supreme in an environment that was full of Nick Fury. But at the same time, I didn't check the top 16 very carefully, and they might have dodged Nick Fury. Who knows? As a whole, I'm going to say his name a lot for the next little while, I'm sure. I'm using him in a couple builds that I've come up with, and Nick Fury is going to be the guy to be afraid of. Nighthawk Prime, the more and more I look at Nighthawk Prime, the more and more I look at it and say, if Nighthawk Prime was really a problem for my team, I think I had more problems going in than Nighthawk Prime. That's just one of my takeaways, because if Nighthawk Prime can stop a certain character from being super good, so can the Outsider's team ability, right? So I think Nighthawk Prime will be present, but if he's present, it's because there's a Despedara combo along with him. That's going to be the combination that's still very strong, and the fact that when Despedara showed up, it was strong. But then, there was enough stat bonuses in the tactics meta to make that less of a threat. But once Nighthawk Prime showed up to add to that, I mean, it's 110 points of your team. It's still not a room to work with. And when you have an entire team that's 20 defense and the guy that's making it incredibly difficult to hit, incredibly hard to target, you got a lot going your way. So I mean, that's a lot of what I'm predicting. We'll go into deeper depth on it, I'm sure, on Thursday, although I'm probably not going to be doing as much talking and more moderating, trying to get people to avoid talking over each other. We do have a couple confirmed high-level players who are planning on showing up on the show we have on Thursday, and Mike and myself will be there as well, since Mike will be there. And I will have Aaron as well, who won't be going, Aaron Cantu from 2 Clicks from KO. Check the link below. He's going to be joining the show, and like myself, he won't be there, but I could always use the extra brain people who are on the outside looking in.
I thought he was coming.
What's that?
I thought he was coming. I didn't know he was.
No, he's unfortunately not.
A lot of people have been saying he's coming, and he's mentioned me. He's like, people have got to stop saying I'm coming. They're going to make a liar out of them. Aaron has assured me that he doesn't plan on going or showing up at all, and he's probably going to say the same thing on Thursday several times. Now, before we move into, because it seems to be a very quick show this week, thank goodness for the holidays, I guess. Jay, was there any topics you want us to cover before we go into questions?
Since you just mentioned Aaron, I wanted to mention that in the Majestics thread on the Realms, it ended up turning out that the guy who had won that accidentally overbuilt. So, yeah.
We all kind of caught that, and this is one of those things I try to avoid grading a deep discussion about on the show. And it shows, I mean, these things happen.
My point was more that, my point wasn't to just mentioning that in that the only team that the team I helped build lost to was that, so. extra positivity my way. Nothing. I'm not saying anything about that other than.
Is he literally patting his back right now?
No.
He's literally patting his own back right now, right?
Patting his own back.
I'm feeling much more confident in my inevitable match against Mike.
Inevitable match against me, yeah.
Whenever something like this comes up, I have to throw out a public service announcement. Guys, check the points on characters and on the point sheet. Sometimes there's errors, and when these things get by a lot of players, the internet goes nuts about it, and they like to cling to things like nasty stuff to hairs in parts of your body you don't want to be seen.
Yeah. The problem is that people tend to look at the sheet and just do the math from there. But exactly. Look at the actual things that are there.
Yeah. And what ended up happening is on the sheet was different than what's on the base. So we forgot to put the wall on his build sheet as well. Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah.
I mean, all kinds of errors happened. Let's look at it. Guys, check the build sheets, check the figures, be aware. Because ultimately, it's not just on the judges to catch this. I mean, the judges are there, but they had 39 build sheets to check. Me and Amber are usually pretty good. Check them on the way in. We do catch some things here and there, but a very cursory look comes from the judges. The players at the table are generally the ones that have to be the ones that have to catch these things. I caught something in Provincials that was a little off kilter because the guy actually, believe it or not, the Justice League Dark ATA doesn't work with the Justice League Dark keyword. And I had caught that in my first round.
With Justice League, yeah.
That's right. It requires Justice League. Yeah. I caught that in Provincials, and that's those little things that kind of fly under the radar that people miss, etc. I didn't beg for a disqualification. The guy got a bye in the first round, so when I got into his second round, this is the first time he actually played with the team, and I was like, judges, you missed a spot. And I don't expect a disqualification out of these things, especially if it's caught in the first round. If it's caught in the first round, there's no problems with it. If it's caught in later rounds, then you got to start talking to the players who check the build sheets and just, you got to grill it into yourselves, guys, because one person's going to get screwed over, and then it's going to go down the road. Now, that's not to take away from the play of the player or any of the players who were there. These things happen. These accidents occur. A lot of players missed this. It wasn't just, one player who missed it, one judge who missed it. This is every player right down to the final. So,
you don't want to end up losing in a major tournament only to find out that because you were a bit neglectful and looking at the team, you lost to something illegal.
Mm-hmm.
The onus is also on you as well as the other person.
Yep. So that's. I didn't want to go into great length about that. It happened. It's unfortunate. Congratulations, Jay. The only team that beat your team wasn't quite legal. All right.
I'm pretty sure that team has done better than anything you built. So.
Oh yeah. Did you play it?
No.
Okay, then shut up, Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a flashback to Windsor. And it had to do with someone pinning someone else down and then smashing his face with his palm. It was awesome. Oh my god.
And you saw it in his drunken stupor. He said, "Go ahead and hit me."
Just go for it. You guys are too much, man. Yeah.
Anything you want us to discuss before we go to the user or to the fan questions?
I haven't listed it yet, but on Wednesday, everybody come down, bring your meta team, 300 modern at Wizards Cash, because I'm going to be playing my team, and I want people to wreck me.
All right.
You guys want people to wreck you the night before, okay.
I'm going to post Mike's build on Facebook.
No, we're not listing my build. You have to come down to see it.
Or you can just wait to list his build until after the tournament.
No, we're not listing it then either.
Oh.
It's right. I already have it listed. I have. What Mike doesn't realize is that I'm about to blackmail him when we get off the air. All I have to do is hit enter right now in this little Unix script I have, and it's everywhere. I mean, nothing.
You're the best coach ever.
I keep telling people I'm a better coach than I am a player. Oh, look, Mike Silly was silly enough to Facebook it to me.
I'm not privy to this information. I want to be privy.
Oops, I accidentally screen shared, Mike.
Oh, no.
And I don't know if Mike had heard, but a little while ago I was on an episode of something. I was talking to somebody online, and I was discussing how when I'm teaching somebody how to play, I don't tell them what they messed up until the end of the game, because that's when it sticks in you. And so many people hate me for it, but then they become better players because of it. So, and I also like. Sorry.
It just lets you continue with your jerk persona.
It does. I mean, I got to maintain some kind of jerkness. I'm too nice to people in person, and I get across the table from them Heroclix, I become a complete piece of crap.
Yeah, kind of a penis.
just a little. I mean, that's the head and the.
A little penis.
So going into fan questions. Fabricio Granados, one of our patrons, thank you very much for your support, Fabricio. Is teams like the Kyle and the Entities and the Lantern and Highfather, with something like Hope or Omega Greed as strong now as it was before? Is everybody going to be taking Nick Fury to stop that? Sorry, I'm trying to work through some language barriers on this. And what about the Hawkeye who can ignore a lot or shoot across maps? I think all of those are things that you got to consider as threats in the current meta. Some of them are, yes, the Greedfather team doesn't seem as strong now as it used to be, mostly because that Quintessence is the Quintessence is no longer the protector of the Tachyons that the Greedfather team becomes. Nick Fury gets around it. Yeah, Orange Battery gets around it so long as the character.
And there still is that 5-letter word of Yondu as well, right? I mean, it's all still there.
Yep, absolutely. All of those are the considerations. Jay, what are your thoughts?
Which team do you see with Hope Summers?
He was talking about the Greedfather, Hope Summers father, like any combination.
Oh, I thought.
Right?
Oh, not Hope Professor. Oh, okay.
No, not the Hope Professor.
Oh, okay.
No.
Can see a bunch of that showing, although stuff has changed, so no power is really safe anymore, and Yondu doesn't care about maps, so...
No, Yondu don't give no shit.
Yeah.
Is Drake going to...
No, he's actually going to a football game in Indiana.
Huh.
That's a shame.
They
Drake's one of the better players here in Canada.
Well,
at least on the east coast of Canada. West coast, you have Rock Bear.
He came in 5th at Worlds. I mean,
Was it?
It's better than all of us did.
Yeah.
So next up, Obi-Wan Chris asks predictions for the limited format. I think. Oh, okay. How much of a factor and what percentage of the teams will be theme teams, and what percentage of those teams will be named theme teams? That being said, what ATAs do you guys think will be prominent? My money's on Midnight Suns / martial artist, wildcard teams. Lastly, what about special objects? Do you think a lot of teams will be rocking Hulkbuster pieces? I look forward to hearing your opinion. As always, thanks. Can't wait to tune in. So, Mike, you want to take this one away first?
30% theme teams, 25% of those will be named theme. Not 25% of those, sorry, 25% of total will be named theme. I would say there's a lot of chance to break theme, and there's not a huge advantage to keeping theme with the current meta in most situations. There are many teams that benefit from it. Not to say that it's not useful, because it's very useful in general, especially map roll and team prob, which is the whole reason. But overall, I think that you'll see more broken teams than solid teams in that way. What was the rest of the question?
What ATAs and special objects do you think are going to be prominent?
Prominent? Probably pin particles, just to make up that 2 points if they're not playing with a relic. I mean, it is possible to see some of that stuff, but really you're probably not going to see a lot of special objects. You're probably going to see very, very little of that.
Okay. Jay?
Don't really see much special objects happening. I don't know about Midnight Suns either, because a lot of those characters don't have another source of stealth on top of it, so they're not getting the lines of fire aren't drawn thing, which you can get more with, say, the Blacklight Ring.
Right.
Yeah. I think if you don't mind my interjecting on that one, Jay, as well. I think Midnight Suns is also kind of limited in the selection of characters that you have, especially since Amazing Spider-Man got bumped out of the modern meta. I think the only Midnight Suns we have are the Doctor Stranges, the Blade, and the Ghost Rider. Of course, the monthly OP kit goes Doctor Strange, the Con Doctor Strange, Blade, and the newest Ghost Rider that we have. Those are the only modern Midnight Suns we actually have.
I was actually thinking more Midnight Suns being wildcarded.
Yeah, but I mean, from those characters you get which ones you're going to carry in, right?
Yeah, I don't like. I mean, Chase Question is super awesome. Wild card, starts with stealth, mystical. So I can see maybe some mystical with him. 75-point range, maybe, or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It comes down to, are you able to build around it?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry. But carry on, Jay. As far as, do you think theme teams are going to be dominant?
It's hard to say because there was a lot of like shenanigans that you can't really do in limited between like entities, greed being whatever color he wants, and like a bunch of that stuff. I don't necessarily see so much of that, and also Ultrons become a little less awesome because no ID cards. So not really sure. You're not gonna get any of those like 8-character cosmic teams or whatever. Because of what isn't there. So,
right.
I think teams will be the same or suffer slightly, but no humongous change there.
I think, as far as the theme teams are concerned, some named theme teams have better chances than others. Specifically, named theme teams that allow Ultron drones are going to be better because you get more space to fill in with the 30-point drones, and the 30-point drones are the strongest. Now, of course, when I say the name theme teams that are allowed with those, you're limited to Inhumans and Stark Industries. There's some builds that you can come up with those two keywords that can be very potent. I know you might even see the 150-point version of the 001 Iron Man from the Invincible Iron Man set actually make some appearances alongside some drones and some other friends because Stark Industries got a big bump with the Fast Forces, and we have some characters that can get splashed in like Hawkeye and Black Widow to kind of bump up that team. And again, 18.2 helps with that. Inhumans gets the big giant red monstrosity, and Inhumans already got a really good set of characters from Guardians of the Galaxy. You've still got characters like Thane, who's really strong. Maximus is still really good, and I mean a little less good if somebody decides they're going to mind control them and take your second alpha primitive. That's jerk move of the century that I want to pull off one day. But I mean, the Inhumans is still there and still available, and a lot of the Inhumans have that perplex ability, and perplex is a strong power. So Inhumans and Stark Industries, as far as the name theme, do have that power, and Shield. Don't even get me started on Shield and how good that keyword is right now, and how just dominant it is. Avengers is really good, of course, because if you need to build a team and it's mostly Marvel characters, chances are you're already halfway to an Avengers theme team as it is. And then, I mean, then we go into the generic. So, I mean, if you're going to see name theme teams, those are probably the 4 most likely, though Justice League teams may include Lex Luthor as well. As far as generic, Spy and Soldier are very, very strong right now. Mystical has never stopped being strong. Mystical, if you ask me, is probably one of the most powerful keywords, and if that's going to change sometime soon, I wouldn't mind seeing it, but at the same time would be sad because a lot of my favorite characters are magical. Detective Chimp or Bust. As far as special objects, it will be the point filler. There's not a lot of 10-point characters out there, so if somebody has 10 points left over, I believe there's a few Hulkbuster parts that will really help you out with that. As well, the Pym particles, if you have 2 points left over, why not make a guy tiny and harder to hit, right? I mean, that's kind of my take. I think all the Hulkbuster parts are 10 points. Yeah, all the Hulkbuster parts are 10 points. The Pym particles are 2 points. And those are just, that I think that's the cosmic treadmill. I think you actually have to you have to build around the Cosmic Treadmill to make it work, and I don't think there's a whole lot of characters that you can count on being the auto roll on that. Roll 2d6. If the character's sprint speed value, it's doable, but it's difficult to pull off. But it's 8 points, and if you have a character you think you can pull that off with, and a team that can really use Velocity Action Token, it might happen. It's still very early in limited formats life in order to call it. We have yet to even have our local major tournament. We've only had a local, just small tournament that's kind of given us a taste of what can happen. And I mean, it's very open in comparison to what the original Rock No Tactics format was going to be. And I'm just babbling as I usually do when somebody asks me a question like this.
I'm just excited.
I can see somebody.
I think it's an exciting format. So going forward, we're going to see a lot of really interesting things. And because it's reduced, it's much more friendly to newer players.
Yeah. Sorry, Jay, you were going to say something?
I can see somebody maybe doing KC Flash Cosmic Treadmill build.
Yeah, that's a doable. But you sneezing today, girl? Amber, my fact checker over there, playing Dungeon Siege and sneezing. Next up, Aaron Cantu asks, "What is Mike playing at the ROC World Cup?"
I responded to it.
I know you responded to it
Just
on
read
Facebook,
what's
but
there.
I wanted to see if I could catch you
You made
off
a
guard
reference
on
to
that one.
hookers and our banter back and forth. So
I did. It was fun. Watch. You can check it out on Facebook.com/marriedwithclix. Next up, Chris Stockhouse, one of our regulars. We can always count on Chris for a question. What's the most number of tournaments you've gone to in 1 week? I'm trying 5 this week, with one of those being Dice Masters. Well, last week I did 2 in 1 day. I did a Dice Masters tournament, and I did a Heroclix tournament on this past Saturday. I'd call Canadian Nationals my record for a single week, because you did the first. I did the first constructed grinder, then the sealed grinder, and all these are individual tournaments, right?
Yeah.
And then of course we did the next sealed, and the next constructed. I didn't qualify until the final sealed. And then we move on to then the next day, which is another tournament. So that's 5 all in that same week. And I believe I actually hit 2 local tournaments in the GTA that week alone. So I probably
don't forget about the Battle Royals you actually participated
I only did 1 Battle Royale, so 8.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah.
So if you call a Battle Royale tournament, that's 8.
Mine was similar, but it was 7 because I only did 3 of the day 1 tournaments in order to qualify.
Yeah. All right. Jay?
Similar answer to you, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But my Nats was a lot more Battle Royales.
Yeah.
Like, a lot. It was fun.
Yeah, you played in a ton of those.
Yep.
If I was to actually give another answer, it would be, let me tell you after this year's Nationals, because I'm getting a little better at Dice Masters. I've been playing it a little bit more. I love the game, and me and Amber are still kind of working out the, what's the word I want to work for, logistics of setting up a separate Dice Masters channel. We still have to name it, because I think Married with Dice Masters, I might stick to Married with Dice Masters, we're kidding. It's a fun game, and we don't want to talk about it like too much, but I'm loving everything WizKids right now. I really want to try Attack Wing, but nobody's willing to teach me D&D.
I'll teach you.
Will you teach me D&D or Star Trek?
I know how to. I can play both. I'll do whatever you want to do.
All right, there it is. Jason's about to add all the WizKids games to his conundrum, to his belt of WizKids games that he plays, and now I just got to get a box of couriers to say, hey, I play this game sometimes, some nights. One last check of the YouTube, and then I think we're gonna wrap it up for the day. And nothing on YouTube. All right, that's it for the night, guys. Another short night. It's a holiday season, so I guess that kind of happens, right?
Yeah.
So I want to thank our viewers who are watching live, and our viewers who are watching this on YouTube in the archive. You guys are just as special to us as anybody else. We love you guys just as much, mostly because what I'm doing right now is clicking the monetize with ads button. Mike, thanks for joining me on this Thanksgiving Monday.
As always, it's a pleasure, man.
Jay, thank you as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say thank you guys very much at HC Realms for your support. Check again at realmsgaming.com for their shop page. When you're checking out, use the coupon code MARRIED for 10% off of your purchase. And and we have to talk about our Patreon. The new goal that we added this week, or this past week, we added a new milestone that is the money in where your mouth is matches. If we hit the $100 per month mark, we are going to hold money where your mouth is matches. So like where Jay kind of talked smack earlier today, that would have instigated a money where your mouth is match had we hit the $100 mark on our milestones. So we've already got one set up between myself and Mike should we hit the $100 mark. And then I'm going to have to go to town with Jay and put my money where my mouth is and film that for you guys and your pleasure.
As long as you don't put your mouth on your money, that's filthy.
Oh, dude, that's you know where that stuff has been? Apparently, American money has a high amount of cocaine on it. I heard. That said, you do get rewarded if you do happen to pledge us on Patreon. At $1 a month, you get access to our monthly patron hangout, which is the first Friday of every month. So come November, that will be November 6th. And $5 per month gets you that, as well as access to our videos ahead of everyone else, as well as a downloadable version of the video. As well in the dollar value, I forgot to mention that you also get to fill out. I put up a straw poll every month where you guys get to decide which of the topics that are presented or nominated by you guys, by our patrons rather, on what topics I'm going to discuss on Metafix. The $10 per month gets you an action token and all the above as well. And then the $25 per month gets you to build a team for either myself or for Amber. And whatever build it is up to you. We've had a couple of our games already that we've had to build. We've had to acquire figures here and there to get builds. We've just acquired the figures for one of the builds that got suggested for us, and we have another one coming up as well. So we got 2 this month. And if you hit the $50 per month mark, or if you do pledge $50 per month, you get to join us and our ugly faces on this show talking about Heroclix. And you get to see Mike make this face again. Right there. See that? Right there. You get to look at that, like I do, for an hour and a half. And little does he realize he's still focused, and when he picked his nose, we saw it.
I'm okay with that.
All right, guys. So I want to thank you guys very much for watching again, and thank you for your support to our patrons and for everybody viewing, because you do help us out in any way, shape, or form. And on that note, I'm just going to go solo again because I didn't bother to give us an order. So actually, you know what? I'm going to call names. So practice, Mike.
Makes your
team better. Have a good night, everybody.